It's tempting to think that if it's included in your scene, you need to include it in your painting as well. But that's not the case. Today we're going to talk about how to edit your reference photo to turn it into a painting. So you're never going to find that perfect subject. You're never going to find the subject where everything aligns on a nice, and in the thirds of the painting where you want your action to be. The sky might not be how you want it to be. Maybe there aren't figures in your scene and you would like some figures in your scene. So today we're going to talk about editing your reference photo. How do you know when to stay true to your reference photo, and how do you know when to make changes in order to make it a better painting? It's really tempting to think that if it's in the scene, then I need to include it in my painting. But that's not true. These are decisions that you make as an artist. And I think it's important to empower yourself to make these changes that are necessary. If you wanted to just render a scene exactly as it is, you could take a photograph. But what we do as artists is we take things from the everyday and you're putting them through your own lens. You're putting your own touch on reality. So today I want to talk about 3 different ways to approach editing your reference photo. So the first thing that I want to talk about is cropping. I rarely take a reference photo that doesn't need cropped in some way. So cropping is a great tool. It can help you alter the composition. It can help you place important items in certain areas of the painting. So get comfortable with cropping your reference photo. The other thing I want to talk about is moving things around. So maybe a building is too high up in your scene, or maybe there's trees blocking your view, or maybe there's, cars where you don't want them to be. So reality is complicated and messy. So be comfortable with rearranging, with moving things around and putting them where you want them to be. If you are thinking about composition, you're lining up things on the third of your painting, or you're grouping things in a creative way, remember, you are the artist in the scene. You don't need to render the scene exactly as it is. So the third thing I want to talk about is exaggerating. And what do we want to exaggerate? I want you to look at your reference photo or look at your scene and think about what drew you to this scene. Why do you want to paint it? Is it a beautiful sky? Is it the light in the scene? Is it a certain subject? It can be helpful to think about that thing that drew you to the scene and then exaggerate it a little bit. This goes back to the fact that we are creating art. We're not creating a static rendering of the scene. So when you make these decisions, when you crop appropriately, when you crop to change the scene how you want it to be, to make it a stronger painting, when you move things and adjust things, and when you exaggerate the thing that drew you to the scene, the little bit of magic that's in the scene, for lack of a better term, then you are telling the viewer what's important. You are transferring some of you into the painting. You are communicating something to the viewer. Rather than just rendering out the scene that's in front of you, you're saying something about it. Remember, you're in control of this. You're the artist. You can turn this into whatever you want it to be. So I thought it'd be helpful to take a look at one of my recent paintings, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I edited this scene, how I changed things up to make it into what I wanted it to be. Now here's a look at my reference photo, and here's a look at my painting. So you'll notice I changed things quite a bit here. First of all, I cropped my scene to look more like something like this. So I zoomed in and I found a section of the scene that I thought would make an interesting painting. And I thought about what attracted me to the scene. A lot of it was the sunlight. And so I decided I want this light to be more of a focus in my painting. And so I put this light, the lightest light and the darkest dark, right here on this third of my painting. And when I say thirds, I mean if we divide our painting into thirds, like a tic-tac-toe board almost. Sorry, my drawing with this thing is not great. So something like that. So right over here is where I decided to put my brightest part of the painting and my darkest painting to create some interest right here. So I've cropped my scene, and I did end up moving things around a little bit. I changed the where the sunset was kind of shining, and I also moved this car to kind of be in this third of the painting, and I simplified some of these houses back here. So I took some things away, I added some things. I didn't include as many trees. I just kind of wanted to simplify that and really focus on painting the essence of what I wanted this scene to be. And that was a winter street with light shining across the road and an emphasis on this light over here. So by using the three things that we talked about, by cropping, rearranging, and exaggerating the light of the scene, I was able to take my reference photo and turn it into something that I could paint and make it into a painting of my own. I hope you found that helpful, kind of seeing what I was thinking about when I took a subject and turned it into a painting. So I want you to keep these three things in mind. Feel free to crop, feel free to move things around, and feel free to exaggerate the essence of the scene or the thing that has attracted you to the scene in the first place. So I hope that this information was helpful, and I hope that you realize that you're the artist. You turn this into what you want it to be. Ultimately, looking at reality and creating a painting out of reality and putting our own spin on it, that is what we do as artists. If you haven't checked out my free video lesson, How to Avoid Overworking Your Painting, take a look at it. You can follow the link below. You can get to it in my bio and Instagram. So I've gotten some really good feedback from this lesson, and this is a video lesson that helps address something that I had to work through quite a bit when I was learning how to paint watercolor, and that is overworking my painting. I talk through 8 different tips to help you avoid overworking your painting. You can follow the link below, take a look at it, and I hope it can help you out as well. So thank you guys for spending some time with me today. I hope this content was helpful for you. Keep practicing, keep pushing forward, and I'll see you next time.